Welcome to another live question answer with me, Martin Twycross. If you're joining this on the replay, then a special welcome. If you're in the room, an even more special welcome. So if you're in the room, do pop your name in the chat. Let me know you're here. Let me know that it's all working correctly, because sometimes the technical side of this doesn't work. So just let me know you're hearing me clearly. Pop your name in the chat box. So the aim of the live Q&A is for me to come online regularly and to answer any questions that you may have on mediumship, development, spiritualism, or any related subject. That's the idea. So I come online and basically it's an ask me anything session within reason. If I can answer it, I will. If I can't, I won't. That's the plan anyway. And as always, my channel is about bringing you practical, down-to-earth teachings on mediumship and development without the fluff. And somebody said to me, what does that actually mean? And well, I'm sure you all know what fluff is. Fluff, BS, airy-fairy stuff. So really the channel is about bringing you rational, logical, practical ideas, teachings, without moving into those realms of stuff that's a bit nefarious, a bit airy-fairy, a bit strange. So hi Kathy, good to see you, and thank you for letting me know that I sound okay. Christina, lovely to meet you, you too. I'm glad you can hear me. So the way it works is, if you've got a question, you can pop your question in the chat box and I will answer them in order. I do have a couple of questions to get me started that have appeared on my videos I want to just cover off as well. So if you have a question, pop it in the chat box. We'll work through them one at a time, and that's how it's going to work. So somebody asked a question in the comments of the last live Q&A I did, which amused me. And the question was, do you have to be intelligent and knowledgeable to be a medium? Do you have to be intelligent and knowledgeable to be a medium? And the simple answer is no. The spirit world is filled with people from all walks of life. This world here is filled with people from all walks of life. Different backgrounds, different levels of education. And as mediums, we need to be able to appeal to as many people as possible. Does that make sense? We've got to appeal to as many people as possible. So we need mediums of all backgrounds, mediums of all educational levels, mediums with senses of humor, mediums who are more serious, mediums who use short words, mediums who use big words. It does not matter. The point is, spirit need everybody from all walks of life. The only qualification really is that you want to work for spirit, you want to be of service, you want to serve the two worlds. That's it. So if you say, well, I'm not the most educated person, I don't have big words, would that work for me as a medium? Absolutely. Absolutely. And what we find is that different mediums attract different followers. Different mediums have a different audience. Some mediums have people who like them, and other mediums, they're not that bothered about them and they prefer other ones. So we all find, if you like, we all find our tribe. That's the way it is. So no matter what your level of education, no matter what your level of intelligence, no matter what your level of knowledge, you can be a medium, provided you do the training, provided you're committed to it. So hi Steph, hi Wendy, and hi Melba. Lovely to see you all here. So don't allow that to put you off mediumship. That's what I would say. Got a few questions that people have asked as well in relation to my sitting in the power meditation. If you've not seen my sitting in the power meditation, it is freely available, short version on YouTube. There is a longer version available as an MP3 download from my channel if you're interested in that. But the shorter version gives you the absolute basics thereof. And a question was asked, when you sit in a power, is visualizing the spark of light within us or the greater light of spirit necessary? Because I have a hard time visualizing. So normally I ask you to visualize that spark of light within you. You move and blend with it. You expand that light. You expand that light out beyond the body. You expand that light out. And then you see a greater light of the spirit realm and you move and blend towards that greater light. So that is the visualization within the version of sitting in the power that I teach. Now, I get that not everybody is visual. So provided you understand the basics, that you're going to the core within, where there's an aspect of divinity, where that eternal part of you exists, and we're going to grow that part, you don't need to visualize it. Visualization is not necessary. So you can do it without a visualization, absolutely. The idea of blending with the greater light of the spirit world, it's, if you like, we're blending with that greater energy, that greater power. Again, if we remove the word light, we're just setting our intent to move and become one with it. Again, the pure visualization of that greater light becomes somewhat unnecessary. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So ideally, we do not need to have the visualization. If you can do the visualization, absolutely go with it. But if you find it hard or it doesn't really work for you, don't get hung up on it. Don't allow it to bother you too much. It really doesn't matter so much. And a follow-on question, similar theme. When you're sitting with spirit and you blend your energy with spirit, do you imagine white light from spirit coming down from above, or do you imagine that white light of spirit around you? And the simple answer is whatever works for you. It doesn't matter. Just like I said with the visualization, there just needs to be an intent to blend with the spirit world. There just needs to be an intent to move and connect and become one with the spirit. And that will be enough. And with each breath, provided you understand that with each breath, that blend becomes closer. And that, if you like, is that you're using your anchor of breathing to increase the union, the blend, the coming together. Hopefully that makes sense. The attunement with spirit is growing with each breath. So again, I wouldn't worry too much about how to do it and I need to have it this way or that way. No, it will work different ways for different people. How your mind works will work differently to others. So just go with it, whatever's happening. The key is that you're feeling a greater energy of the spirit world. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the questions we've got. And welcome to Patty, who's just joined us as well. Okay, so Wendy, can we contact mom if we don't sit in the power? So let's talk about what the purpose of sit in the power is. Sit in the power is a training tool to help us with our development. Sitting in the power by itself cannot make you a medium. You need to understand the theory of mediumship. You need to get some mediumship practice. Absolutely. Sitting in the power will not a medium you make. That's the important part to recognize. We can't just sit in the power and it instantly turns us into a medium. No, it's something we do alongside our development to help speed up our development, to help us with our training. Sitting in the power replicates a lot of things we do when we work with the spirit world. That attunement, that blending, that holding the link, that when we lose the link, we go back and we rebuild that link. It teaches us discipline of mind. It teaches us that focus. It teaches us many, many things. And no time spent in the presence of spirit is ever wasted. So sitting in the power serves a whole multitude of different purposes. But sitting in the power by itself cannot make you a medium. You need to understand what mediumship is. You need to be learning to practice mediumship, preferably in a controlled environment with a good teacher. That's what I would recommend. So sitting in the power will not make you a medium. So then you come on to, you're talking about contacting mom. Who's mom? Your mom. If it's your mom, harder, much harder. I have a video on my channel, Can a Loved One Contact Their Own in Spirit? And the simple answer is you can become aware of them, you can blend with them, but receiving contact and information from them is challenging. It becomes more challenging for a variety of reasons, in that we already know our own loved ones. We already know how they think generally. So it's very easy for our own subconscious mind to create that. So I can give contacts for other people. When it comes to myself, it's very, very hard for me to get a contact from my own loved ones. It's often said the gift of mediumship is not to be used for yourself. It's to be used to help other people. I get contacts from my own loved ones through other mediums. But if I think of my own loved ones and when I'm sitting, I can feel them draw close to me. I can feel their energy. I can to a certain degree feel what they would be thinking, but it's colored. It's colored through my own experience. It's colored through my own needs, my own subconscious needs and desires. So it becomes really challenging. So that's important to recognize. So coming back to your question, can we contact mum if we don't sit in the power? Yes, you can if you've developed as a medium. However, not to the same degree you can contact somebody else's mum. That's the important part to recognize. And can you develop mediumship without ever sitting in the power? I don't like sitting in the power. Someone says, can I develop mediumship without ever sitting in the power? The simple answer is yes. It is not an absolute essential, but it will help the process. It will help speed the process up. I know people who are mediums who've never sat in the power, who don't like meditating at all, who don't do it, but they can still develop as a medium through practice, continued practice. If you like, the practice is the key, but sitting in the power sometimes can accelerate it. Sitting in the power can deepen it. Sitting in the power can help the unfoldment process and make that quicker. So that's what I'm saying. But if you don't do it, the key thing with sitting in the power is you have to do it properly, because a lot of people don't do it properly. If you're just sitting airy-fairy and your mind's wandering, you're not doing it properly. Really, there should be a degree of focus, a degree of attunement. It's quite a serious practice. So we don't do it when we're tired. But anyway, there are a whole raft of videos on my channel on sitting in the power. Sitting in power, the key to mediumship is a really good one to check out. There are 4 as well. Sitting in the power, how to do it, why you should do it, common problems encountered by beginners and common problems encountered by the more experienced, and of course the sitting in the power short meditation itself. So I'm going to just park that up for a second and we'll move away from sitting in the power, unless the next question is all about sitting in the power. Okay. You regularly give us wonderful words of wisdom that come from your guides. I also love to sit and get in contact with my guides as well. I'd love to know how you do it, how I do it. Well, actually, those words of wisdom are extracted from when I work as a trance medium. A trance medium basically is a deepening of the inspirational state. So when a medium's sitting and being inspired with thoughts or words from their guides, in the trance state, we're sitting to blend with spirit, and we're sitting to allow spirit to control, to speak through us. We're sitting for us to recede and for them to come forward and speak through us. So I've been sitting doing trance since about, 2009, 2010. I've sat hundreds of times, and sometimes some really profound wisdom comes through. Quite often a lot of profound wisdom comes through. And those ones that I post, generally, the vast majority of them, some of the early ones were my own inspired words from spirit. But then if I say it's words of wisdom from spirit, then those are actually from my guides. Generally, the more deeper, profound ones have come through trance mediumship. And that part has just been transcribed out from the recording. So how do I do it? I learned to do trance. How do you learn to do trance? Slowly. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes a lot of effort. If you are interested in developing trance mediumship, I do have a series of videos, and special topic number 1 is about trance mediumship. Also, useful ones that go alongside it is guides and helpers and working with spirit inspiration. They're very useful. And if you're interested in my study program, then special module 4 covers healing, inspiration and trance. It includes those videos I've just mentioned on trance mediumship, working with spirit inspiration and guides. And it also includes tutorials that go with it as well. So that module covers it off. And with my courses, the last course I did at the very top left-hand corner, Understanding Guides and Helpers, that looks at getting to know who our guides and helpers are, and it looks at working with them with an inspirational, through the inspirational form. So trance is that deepening. It takes a lot more time to do trance. Generally, we start working inspirationally. So that one would probably be of interest as well, if that's something that interests you. But how long does it take to develop trance? Many years. When I look at my first few years of trance, the quality was basic at best. Because the problem is, we have to learn to get us out of the equation and let spirit in. And it takes time, it takes effort. We have to start speaking to get us out the way, to allow spirit to build. So for most mediums, trance takes many years to develop. So it's a long-term goal to develop trance for many people. So that's how I do it. Those are extracts from trance generally. However, I could just sit and open to inspiration from the spirit world, invite those who work with me to blend with me on a theme and open to thoughts and words. And sometimes when you start writing them down, it just starts to flow. Or sometimes you can grab a dictaphone. Do I have a dictaphone on hand? Yeah, there you go. That's an example of a dictaphone. You can just turn it on, close your eyes, go into that state, blend with them and start talking. Those are techniques you can use. If you want to know a lot more about how to do inspirational speaking, as I say, I've got the video Working with Inspiration. There's the course as well, Understanding Guides and Helpers. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, next question. Okay, Patty, what is the difference between a physical medium and an evidential medium? I'm a psychic, not really familiar with medium semantics, I'm afraid. Okay, so simple things. What is physical mediumship versus what is evidential mediumship? What is mental mediumship? So we often talk about mental mediumship and physical mediumship as being two categories. Mental mediumship is blending with spirit, bringing forward information. It could be trance, as I've just mentioned. That's a form of mental mediumship. And it could be the evidential platform or sittings type mediumship. And inspiration as well is, again, another form of mental mediumship. Physical mediumship is about creating physical phenomena in this world. And those physical phenomena are objective. They are visible to all. If you're going to do a materialization, and that materialization has to be seen by everybody present. If an object is going to move, it has to be seen by everybody present. If someone's face is going to be coated with ectoplasmic mask, as in Transfiguration, it has to be seen by everybody. That is physical mediumship. It's physical phenomena which are observable to all. Evidential mediumship is subjective. The medium is receiving the information. There's nobody else receiving it. It's not possible to know objectively what is happening. It's subjective within the mind of the medium. That's the difference between physical mediumship and mental mediumship. So if I'm receiving a contact from somebody's mum that I'm delivering, nobody else is getting that, just me. It's received in my mind. I can make mistakes with it like any medium can, and it's subjective. What I'm given is subjective. However, if a spirit is speaking through direct voice, which is where spirit can create a voice box in the air using ectoplasm, then if that voice has been spoken through direct voice, everybody in the room will hear it. Everybody in the room will be aware of it. If there's materialization happening, you have to have light with materialization. It's impossible to say whether materialization is happening without light in the seance room. Gordon Higginson used to talk about this a lot. Many others will talk about this a lot, because yes, we can argue that a form is being materialized, but if it's total darkness, you can't see it. So Gordon Higginson used to demonstrate materialization mediumship, but he used a very dim red light so that people, generally the first few rows, would all be able to see it pretty clearly. The further back in the room you got, it became a bit harder to see depending upon how much light there was, because the light was very dim. But certainly those close to it would all see it. They would all see the manifestation. So that's physical mediumship, because it's observable to everybody. So hopefully that makes sense. So the difference between a physical medium and an evidential or mental medium is that a physical medium is working with physical mediumship and creating that physical phenomena. A mental medium could be working with evidential mediums, could be working with trance, could be working with the inspirational states. But again, that is subjective. Nobody else knows exactly what is being received from the spirit world. It's subjective in the mind of the medium. Hopefully that all makes sense. I hope so. Anyway, if it doesn't make sense, let me know and I'll try and clarify it for you just a little bit more. Okay. Christina, what's your view of loved ones who have crossed over, becoming one's own spirit guide? So can your loved ones be your spirit guide? I talk about this actually in my On my course on understanding guides and helpers, I cover every question you could possibly imagine relating to guides and helpers pretty much. And the simple answer is, if we look at the history of well-known mediums and we look at who their guides are, there are many examples of people who belong to them, loved ones of theirs, who become a helper. Very rarely is it the main guide. It's not the main guide generally. It's generally a helper. And think about it. Your loved ones, they care about you in this world. Whatever you do in this world, they take an interest in it. Absolutely. Why would they not take an interest in your mediumship and your development from the spirit world? So it can happen, and it does happen. It probably doesn't happen as frequently, though, as some mediums will tell you. I know a lot of mediums who like to give guides off the platform, who like to tell everybody who their guides are, and they will often say, oh, your mum's your guide, your dad's your guide, your Uncle Bill, 2 steps removed, your guide. And the simple answer is no, they're not. No, they're not. Really, you should receive evidence in a multitude of ways to demonstrate that if one of your loved ones actually is one of your helpers. I say helper because generally it is not the main guide. Very, very, very rarely has it been the main guide in the history of great mediums. So yes, it can happen. But for many people, there's a desire for it to happen. For many people, they want their loved ones close to them. I get that. I see that. Many people have told me that my mum is one of my guides, one of my helpers. But is she really? I would say the evidence isn't there to support that. But of course, she would take an interest. Of course, she would be around me. Of course, she cares about what I do. Absolutely. But the evidence does not indicate that she plays a role within my spiritual work, or at least not a role that is clearly evident. Hopefully that all makes sense. Melba, thank you very much for your super chat. That is much appreciated. Have you got a question to go with it that I've missed? I can't see a question. I'm just skimming. But if you have a question, feel free to ask it. Okay. Question. I once connected with a living person So you connected with a person who was terminally ill, but living, but conscious. That's what I think you're asking. But basically, can we connect with the living? Absolutely. In special circumstances. I have another video on my channel, kind of medium link with the living. And generally the scenarios that it's possible is if there's a brain injury, if they're in, if something has seriously affected the brain, if they're in a coma, if they've got advanced dementia or Alzheimer's disease, and also close to transition, nearing transition, it is possible. I believe that as we near transition, the soul begins to become much more evident because we operate through the soul. If you like, the soul awakens, or the soul can start to operate independently of the mind of the living person. So, for example, I've had someone who was close to transition come through me for somebody, and her greatest concern was what was going to happen to her pets when she passed. Who was going to look after the pets? You know, she didn't want her lovely cats to be put down or anything like that. So that was her greatest concern, to help get her affairs in order. And I see that, I get that. My wife, before her mum passed, her mum came through a medium very close to the point of passing. So it does happen, absolutely. It's possible. But somebody who's not got any of those issues with brain injury, coma, Alzheimer's, nearing transition, generally we can't link with the living in the same way we can link with those in spirit. It's like, I can't just link with my friend somewhere and receive information from their spirit. It doesn't function unless those criteria are met in general. So hopefully that all makes sense. So yeah, absolutely, we can do that. Christine, Sit in the Power is a miraculously powerful tool that I practice regularly. Thank you, Martin. It's been life-changing for me. You're very welcome. You know, I like it. I teach a lot about it. I think it's important that people do it, but it's up to you. The more often you do it, the more it helps you. But some people say to me, other mediums teach that you shouldn't do it. You don't need to do it. Mediums who do teach it, you know, and it's like, I get that some people, it's not their bag. I get that. I spoke about that earlier. Some people don't do meditation. But for the majority of people, the vast majority of people, it helps them. That's what I see. So if it's a tool that helps you, why would you not do it? And with anything, I would say suck it and see. Try it. And if you get benefit from it, all the better. All the better. So Melbourne, no questions. That's great. And welcome, Danny. Okay, what's the next question? And welcome, Gail. Brilliant question, Laurie. I have 0 discernible mediumship skills. Should I still try to develop anything? I love that question. Brilliant question. Now, if you took me back, I don't know, let's go back 25 years. 25 years ago, what would that be? 1999. I had to think about that, didn't I? I would probably argue that I had 0 discernible mediumship skills as well. You know, some mediums, I often, forgive me, I'm not, if I offend people with this, no, I'm not intending to, but I read a lot of books where the mediums say, oh, I was gifted from the, from the moment I came out of the womb, you know, as a two-year-old toddler, I was already making my first spirit links, and on they go. And I read books about this and I'm like, really? Like, was I aware of spirit as a child? No. Some people are, I get that. I do see that. I'm not knocking it. But I do think that sometimes when you're writing a book, it's kind of an expectation that a lot of people think that you have to say all of that. When I write my book, if I ever write my book, it's like, Martin did not know he was a medium until 2001. Until my mum passed and until I decided to set out on the road of development, I did not know I was a medium. There was, if you like what you're saying, 0 discernible evidence of me being a medium. Technically, that's not true, because if we look back a little bit, I was a very good judge of character. You'd argue I was very good psychically. I could sense energy. I could work out if somebody was lying to me quite quickly. I could sense the energy of a room. Now that's psychic. So I had some degree of psychic ability, but so do we all. So do we all, to varying degrees. But mediumship-wise, I never made a contact with the spirit world until I actually started going to circle and started trying to do it. So I had 0 discernible mediumship skills. That's me. And look at me now. I am a medium. And probably more of a large at the moment. But no, I'm a medium. I'm joking. So the thing is, with all of this, you have to want to develop. The problem you have is if you treat mediumship development as something to dabble in and play with, you probably won't go as far as you should or you could. But when we have a need, a desire, if something profoundly drives us towards it, it will be easier. If you feel drawn to it, do it. If you feel it's something you should be doing, you'd like to do it, you're meant to do it. But if you think to yourself, well, I could either learn to do volleyball, or I could learn to do mediumship. I'm not really sure which one to do, or maybe I'll just go fishing instead. If it's something like you're just not really that bothered, I would say it's unlikely that you develop quickly within it. It's almost like when there's that need within us, and when we present ourselves to spirit and we present ourselves with the right intent, the right focus, the right purpose, then at that point spirit meets us and help us to unfold. Everybody has potentials within them. Some people have what I call near surface potentials. Some people are natural mediums. It's there near the surface. But other people, like me, it was buried. It was hidden. It's not until you start the development process that it begins to unfold. Make sense? So I would say, go ahead and do it. I would say, have a try. I would say, if you're drawn to it, do it. But not all development is equal. That's the other thing I need to say, and I shall not try not to upset anybody with this one as well. But there are many, there are many circles online and in person that are they might be well-meaning, but people in them just don't develop. I've been to circles myself whereby you'd probably never learn anything or develop, because that's not the point. The point was for everyone to get together, have a cup of tea, have a chin wag, have a social, but it's not about hard work. And it's the work that's going to help develop you. So you need a good teacher, you need to focus, you need to have a purpose with a circle. You can't just get together, everyone takes an angel card and says, oh, that's lovely, and then we all have a chat and say spiritual words to each other and go home. It's not going to happen. No, it needs a focus, like, okay, you make a link with spirit, off you go. You make a link with spirit, off you go, etc. It's got to have, it's got to have purpose. Absolutely. Good. Steph, you did a meditation and recorded it. Had a male sit at the side of me. It felt like this was a guide. Very nice energy. Generally, if we're sitting in meditation, we feel a presence, and generally it's going to be one of our helpers. Generally. Hi, Daniel from Switzerland, and hi, Rise. Okay, so next question. I feel self-doubt in myself is a huge barrier. Even though I've experienced so many things, I still have self-doubt. Is this common for people to have so much self-sabotage? It's common for some. So one of the courses that I did, in fact, one of the first courses I did, you'll see in the bottom right-hand side there, called The Confident Medium. And I did that one because so many people came to me with confidence issues and said, can you help me with confidence issues? Some of you may know that I'm a qualified hypnotherapist. I practiced for quite a few years, and I worked with a lot of people with confidence. So I thought, well, let's take all that knowledge I would work with people and let's apply it to mediumship. And so that's where that course came from. So if that's an issue that you face in terms of doubting yourself, confidence, trust, etc., then that course may be a helpful course for many. So basically, some people lack confidence in many areas of their life. Some people lack confidence in specific areas. Some people lack confidence in specific situations. So we've got all those different aspects to look at. Some of it's the talk we use, there's things we do as well. Like there's the imposter syndrome, that you feel that, hey, I'm not really good at this. And as soon as you get the bit of evidence that shows you're not, you jump on it. See, I knew I was no good at it. I'm an imposter. Or you catastrophize. Think everything's going to go wrong. If something goes wrong, oh my God, I knew it. Everything's going wrong. This is really bad. It's not working out, blah, blah, blah. It's the self-talk. It's the visualization. It's the imagery we're using. All of that is powerful stuff. So we have to sort all that stuff out. And what creates doubt? Fear. What are your fears? Fears of what? Fear of failure. Fear of being good. I know some mediums who are worried if they're good. How's that going to affect them in their lives? You can have fears of all sorts of different things. But I fear false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Fear is just our mind creating issues. Worries is just our mind creating issues, most of the time, which never truly come to fruition. So some people, self-sabotage is common as well. Some people have a lot of self-doubt. Really, you have to work with it yourself. There's a lot of work to be done on self. Within the Confident Medium course, you get homework as well for each session, because people need to do the homework on self. People, somebody who comes to me with confidence issues, we're going to be looking at scenarios that create issues. And then we're going to be looking at tools and techniques they can apply in those scenarios. And then we're going to be looking at what happens the next time in that scenario. Was the tool helpful? Did the tool work? Etc. So that's quite a powerful tool in itself to be able to do that. So I would say, don't be hard on yourself. Many people, I would, if I had £1 for the amount of times people ask me, oh, it didn't work out, why is that? And I usually say, okay, how many times has it worked? How many times didn't it work? It's worked hundreds of times. It didn't work a handful of times. So what you're going to focus on, the ones that don't work or all of the ones that do work. What you're going to work on, the 1 in 100 that doesn't work or the 99 in 100 that do. And it's where we place our mind. It's the old glass half full, glass half empty scenario. You know, it's like, and again, it comes back to that positive thinking. It comes back to that self-talk that we work with within ourselves, that we retrain our mind to work to help us, not to hinder us. So there's a huge amount in that. Probably the best thing I can recommend is if that interests you, that course would be highly beneficial. That's what I would say. So if you're enjoying this, remember to hit the like button. If you enjoy my teachings, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Steph, for your super chat. That is much appreciated. Is there a question to go with that as well? I have spoke the other bit. No, that's very much appreciated. Okay, next question. Danny. I was sitting in the cabinet with red lights. Sitter said that my face changed between one change and another and became completely black. I couldn't see anymore. The meaning of this darkness. So this is very common. If you sit in very low light conditions, there is a phenomena that when people stare at something long enough, it disappears. That is actually a natural phenomena. So it may be that nothing is happening. So what you need to do is you need to have everybody see it disappear at the same time. Because if I stare at something long enough, it can disappear for me. Whenever we're doing something and we use very dim light or red light, or so what you need to then have, if you don't mind people talking, and again, this is when we're doing trance and training to open to physical as well, is are you going to allow your sitters to talk amongst themselves and to say what they see? Because if everybody sees it happening at the same time, then it could be spirit phenomena. If everyone gets it at a different time, it's not. It's just this natural phenomena created by the dark light, created by fixating on a point. And so that can happen as well. So I've got a very scientific background, I should say. I do have a degree in physics for my sins. I don't know why I did that, but there you go. So I've got a very scientific background. I try and rule out all the logical reasons first before I accept it is spirit. So with transfiguration work, we see changes in people's faces. And we want another face to superimpose upon it. There's two different kinds of transfiguration. One is where people are seeing it within their own minds, what we call a clairvoyant one. And the other one is absolutely true physical mediumship, where it happens in the room, the face changes, it's visible to all. And that is quite a profound form of mediumship to see. I've been lucky enough to see Jean Skinner, who is a wonderful transfiguration medium, work on many occasions. The most amazing transfiguration I ever saw with her was spontaneous. I was sat chatting with a guy on a course of hers she was doing, and I was just chatting, and she came up and she was at the row of chairs in front, and she just put her hands on the chair in front, and she said, "It's your birthday today," to the guy, and he said, "Yeah, it is." And she just stood there and her face just changed, and the guy was shocked and really emotional, and he said, "That was my grandmother. You just brought through my grandmother. Her face has just appeared on yours." And I was from the side and I saw the face change. I saw it absolutely change. And this was in full daylight conditions, no red light, no nothing. I've seen her work in red light several times, maybe 3-4 times. And I've seen the transfiguration. I've seen it from the front and from the side. Sometimes I was invited to sit next to her, to be the helper, to encourage the people to talk to her, to help spirit come through. And you get a different angle when you're sitting on the side viewing the face. But in all cases, the face physically changed. The facial features physically moved. So seeing it from two angles was amazing. But the most amazing one was in daylight, just absolutely spontaneous. It just happened. It was there for a few seconds. Then she was back to normal again. That was it. So transfiguration, again, it takes a long time to develop. I would say stay with it. Suspend expectations. Because someone says to you, your face changed, don't rush around telling everyone, "Hey, I'm a transfiguration medium." My face has changed when I've been sat in trance, but I'm not a transfiguration medium. Not yet anyway. not an area that I'm seeking to develop, but you know, if it ever happened, that's wonderful. But again, it takes a lot of time. You need patient sitters, but if you can get your sitters to say what they see in the moment, so if everyone says together, your face is gone, the face is gone. It doesn't have to be loud, they have to shout it. But as a medium where we're in a trance state, we need to be able to separate ourselves from the chat in the room of the sitters. But it's important for the sitters to be able to see that, to be able to confirm it happens at the same time. So I hope that makes sense. I shall move on. I hope it all makes sense. Sacred Voyages, I'm working through your first module now, so thank you for that. I will look for that one. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. So it's not covered in modules 1 to 3, but it is in with that is much more covered within the Confident Medium course. So funnily enough, two people have asked me questions. One question was, what's the difference between your videos, your study program, your recorded courses, because I'm trying to work out what to purchase. And another person asked, what's the difference between the bundle of mediumship classes 1 to 12 and the modules 1 to 3 of your study program? And would 1 to 12 be sufficient for me? So I just want to cover that off a little bit. So I have created 12 videos. So the timeline is that these were created first. These 12 videos were created first. Mediumship classes 1 to 12 were created first. Then I added 12 special topics to cover off another 12 areas. So they were the videos. Then I went on to develop a study program. The study program is based upon those videos. So you can see module 1 is classes 1 to 3 plus spiritual and psychic development. Module 2 is 4, 5, 6, 7 plus adding mediumship in the mind. And module 3 is classes 8 to 12. So you're getting the videos, but what you also get with the study program modules is you also get a tutorial on each video. So you may have you get the 2-hour video and then you get a 2.5-hour tutorial. And in the tutorial, I ask people to watch the videos and give me questions, as many questions as I could think of. And generally it was about an average of 30 questions. So people ask me 30 questions about the topic and I answer those 30 questions. And I also give suggestions for working with it as well. So there's some practical suggestions as well within the tutorials. So if you buy the modules, you get 5 classes. Each module is 5 classes plus 5 tutorials, which drill deeper into the topic. So as you can imagine, if I'm talking for 2.5 hours about that subject and answering loads of questions on it, you do get a lot more information for sure. So for some people, the basics are all within what I call the core videos, but the tutorials do add an extra layer of depth. So then what happened was I then started producing courses on more specific areas that weren't covered off in my videos very well or covered off to much depth in the study program. So the first one I developed was Great Mediums of the Past, which is not shown here. It's the next line down, which was 6 mediums who most inspired me. Then I did a course on the Confident Medium. And then I felt that really spiritual self-development needed drilling into in depth. Same again with meditation and sitting in spirit. Drill into it in depth. The fundamentals of mediumship, that is very similar to classes 1, 3, 4, and 5 of my mediumship classes. And it covers modules 1 and 2. It has aspects as well. So I kind of created that class as a stopgap. If you wanted just to buy courses, you could buy meditation, sitting for spirit, the fundamentals of mediumship, getting better evidence, better private readings, and better platform mediumship. And that pretty much covers mediumship well if you want to buy the courses. So the next one I did was Getting Better Evidence, where I took evidence and I just drilled into so much detail in depth. So if you want to know more about how to get good evidence, that course really drills into it. Similar with private readings, each course is 4 sessions. Each session is on average between 2 to 2.5 hours. So you're probably looking at 9 to 10 hours each of teachings, theoretical teachings in these courses. So these courses drill into more depth than the study program or the mediumship classes 1 to 12, etc. So the videos are the starting point. Then they were used to create the study program. And then this is more modern, all recorded in Zoom, better quality. And so if you're coming to it now, you'd probably be better off getting meditation, sitting for spirit, fundamentals of mediumship, getting better evidence. And then if you're looking to move forward and work with it, better private readings, better platform mediumship. And if you've got challenges in your mediumship, hey, the confident medium, that's the one to have. And if you want to know about the great mediums of the past and what we can learn from them and what most inspires me about them, then the great mediums one is a great one to watch with that. So I hope that kind of explains a little bit of the difference. So videos was the starting point. If you just want to know about one topic, if you just want to know about trance mediumship, buy special topic 1, 2 to 3 hours worth of teaching on trance mediumship. If you want to know about color, buy special topic 11. If you want to know about psychometry, special topic 10. If you want to know the ethics and responsibilities of mediumship, special topic 9. Sorry, mediumship class 9. But if you want to then work through it in a more systematic way, I would then recommend the study program as giving you more depth, or the courses. As I say, the courses kind of do drill the deepest. So if you want to know more about mediumship and evidence, and that's where I would go to get it for sure. So I hope that all makes sense for you. So to answer the question, so that covers off the differences between them. So which ones you want to purchase will depend upon your budget. If your budget's small, mediumship classes give you the basics. If you've got a bigger budget, then you can choose between the study program, which does offer a certification option as well, or the courses if you want to drill for the most depth within the courses. So the question on, if I buy 1 to 12, mediumship classes 1 to 12, would that be sufficient for me? It probably would, if you just want the basics. If you decide you would rather upgrade to the whole study program, if you've already bought some of my videos, I give you a pro rata discount. So if you bought the study program modules 1 to 3 and you'd already bought mediumship classes 1 to 12, effectively the money you spent on mediumship classes 1 to 12 would be knocked off the purchase price of the rest. So that I don't charge you extra for buying the same material. That's the whole point. If you've already bought some of it, you get that discount off the next part. I hope that all makes sense. I know it's not easy to understand. I do have a video on what I offer, but it's a little bit dated now, but it does cover it in detail there as well. So you can check that out on my channel. So Catherine, thank you very much for your super chat. That is much appreciated. I can't see a question to go with it, but if you have a question, do pop it in the box. So Danny, there were 4 sitters and all said the same. Excellent. That's what you're seeking. Because if one person sees it, it becomes a bit challenging. So for example, with Transfiguration, I went to a Transfiguration demonstration in a church before I got into this. Funnily enough, I shared a house with a guy who was a spiritualist, and he badgered me to go along to a spiritualist church before I ever wanted to go to a spiritualist church or develop. He told me that there's this Transfiguration medium and it will be visible to everybody, even non-believers like you, Martin. And I'm like, okay. He explained what physical mediumship was. He explained it was phenomena visible to all. I said, okay. So I went along to see it, and I thought I was in a room full of deluded people, because several people were saying, oh, is it amazing? Can you see the Native American's face? And I'm looking at the person, I'm saying, no, there's no difference whatsoever. I'm in a room full of deluded people. But what was actually happening was they were seeing through their clairvoyance. I hadn't developed clairvoyance at that point in time. I was seeing nothing. So it wasn't physical mediumship. It wasn't what I would call true transfiguration, because true transfiguration is visible to all. So it was clairvoyant transfiguration, where people who've developed their ability to see through developing their clairvoyance, they were able to see the changes. And what I've seen is I've seen many mediums work with transfiguration since. And sometimes when it's not true transfiguration, people sitting in certain areas see something, others don't. And some people see things within their mind, but others don't. And then when you ask them exactly what you're seeing, it's not always the same. And I sometimes wonder, has that been created from their own mind? Because really, we want that correlation. So with all mediumship, especially trance and physical, we're seeking that correlation, that people are seeing things. For example, once when I talked about this in my guides course, once when I was sat doing trance mediumship, a picture of a guide literally appeared on the wall, as if like a window of light had been shone onto the wall, and there was a guide's face illuminated. And there was even like a window frame type thing on it, and it was moving. Now, the two sitters at the time both gasped and said, "Oh my God, can you see that?" And they were talking. And as a medium, I was completely oblivious to it until I came out and said, "What happened when you started talking?" And then they said, "This happened," and we both saw it at the same time. I asked them to draw what they both saw, put them separately so they can't confer. Draw what you saw, and they both drew the same thing. And that's because of my scientific training. That's what I want. If they drew totally different things and the shape of what they saw was totally different, I'd go, okay, maybe it's within their own minds. But the fact they both saw it in the room. Now, was it physical mediumship? Well, it was physical phenomena observed both within the room. But whose energy was creating it? Because one of my sitters was also a trance medium. And it wasn't my guide who appeared. It was actually this lady's guide, not mine. So that's interesting. So was it her energy creating it? Was it my energy creating it? Who knows? But that's the only time it's ever happened. And I would argue that because it never happened when I was sitting by myself with other sitters without that medium, it was probably created by that medium's energy. That's what I'd argue. So I'm not a physical medium, is the answer. But of course, it'd be wonderful to tell everybody I was, wouldn't it? But I don't think I am, because otherwise it would have manifested at other times. Okay. Epiphany. I bought a video about connecting to spirit and learned so much. Thank you. So yeah, each of the videos, as I say, each individual video tends to run for between 2 and 3 hours. Probably the average is 2.5. They're all theoretical. All my teachings that I've just talked about, they're all theoretical based. So because of that, you do learn a lot from it, but you do need to put it into practice. You do need classes, courses, circles, etc. to put all the information into practice. Those courses will not make you a medium. That's important to recognize. And somebody asked me a question as well, which I was very intrigued by. Because when I was advertising my mentorship course, I mentioned that some people had bought my courses, had asked, will you do a mentorship course? And they said, well, if they've done some of your courses, why would they need a mentorship course? What would be the point of it? What would be the point of a Zoom course with you if they'd already bought some of your courses? But because the courses are practical, because the courses are theoretical, get the right word, because the courses are primarily theoretical with no practice, then effectively all I'm doing is giving you theory for you to go away and practice in your own time, for you to learn about the process of mediumship, to learn about how it works, to learn about how to do it. But I'm not teaching you how to do it. I'm not watching how you work to help you. So the whole point with the mentorship was to take people and to give them exercises to do to help develop them, to watch how they work, to see how they work, to look at what's working, to look at what's not, to give that advice, that guidance, that help. So that's the point. The point is none of these courses will make you a medium. If you're already working with mediumship, they will help for sure, as many of you testify, as many people have testified. But to be a medium, there's 3 aspects. You need to know the theory of mediumship. If you don't know the theory of mediumship, you'll struggle to link with spirit and you'll struggle to do mediumship well. But then you need to get practical experience of doing it. You need to be in circle, you need to be doing classes, you need to be learning to put it into practice. You need to be flexing your mediumship muscles, if that makes sense to you. But also you need to be doing self-development, work on self, sorting our own stuff, becoming that clearest possible channel for spirit. We need to be doing meditation to quieten the mind. We need to be doing sitting in the power to help unfold the potentials within. And ultimately, in the early stages, I always say the theory will help you most at the beginning, because you'll actually understand what you're trying to do. It's like driving a car. If I told you to get in a car and just drive it and didn't explain what any part of the car did or what you had to do in what order, you'd probably make a mess of it. But then what matters after learning about how the car works is doing the driving. But then ultimately, the self-development doesn't necessarily come into car driving. You could argue staying within the speed limit, becoming a better driver, etc. does, but certainly with spirit, working with spirit, what moves us forward the most is work on self, spiritualizing self. Hence, I generated that course called Spiritual Self-Development, because for me, that is so profound. If working as a medium and developing does not make you a more spiritual person, we've missed the point. That's the thing. If our own development does not make us more compassionate, more empathetic, and just a nicer, better person in life. We're kind of missing the point. That's what I'm getting at. Okay, let's get back to the questions. Laurie, how do you tell the difference between a message from spirit versus your own thoughts? Very good question. Is it spirit or is it our own mind? Again, there's another video on my channel about that. Is it really from spirit? So first of all, what we have to train ourselves to do is quieten our mind down, shut our mind down. We do that through meditation. We do that through training the monkey mind. We do that by letting thoughts come and letting them go and not engaging with them. And ultimately through meditation, we can learn to quieten the mind. So when thoughts do come into our mind, then it's more likely it's coming from the spirit world. But when we work as a medium and we get information, we give it to somebody, it has to be validated, it has to be checked, it has to be confirmed to be true. If I get information and I give it to someone and no one can understand anything I'm saying, it's probably my own mind. But if I'm getting information, evidence that checks out, that someone says, oh yeah, that fits my dad, that yeah, absolutely, he was a smoker, yeah, he had a heart condition, yeah, this is right, that's right, absolutely, he had a dog, black and white, absolutely. All of that checking out gives me validation that it's truly coming from spirit. So to do mediumship, you absolutely have to give information to someone and have it checked. So again, another video on my channel is called How to Do Mediumship. And to do mediumship, you need a sitter or an audience who can listen to what you say and give you feedback. You can't do mediumship by yourself. You can't do mediumship in a closed room. You have to have somebody to work for. And thinking about it logically, spirit come forward for somebody to connect to somebody. They don't come forward to you. It doesn't make sense that spirit's just going to come and chat with me and give me information about themselves when I can't relay it to the person it's for. It doesn't make sense. Now, of course, inspiration work is different. I get that. Trance is different. I get that. But in terms of evidential mediumship, we need somebody to work for. That's the key. So yeah. So how do you tell? Over time, you build that evidence up. Over time, you get that validation. Absolutely. Absolutely. And a second question, can our families in spirit see and hear us perfectly as though they were still here? Again, I've got another video on my channel I would point you to. Can spirit see us? Now, spirit, when we think of spirit, they're aware of our thoughts. Absolutely. If they draw close to us, they see our energetic body. They haven't got physical eyes, but they can see our energy fields, see our aura. They can see our thoughts. They can see what's going on in our energy from our thoughts. They hear our thoughts. So your loved ones cannot see you on the toilet or in the bath. It's important to recognize that. It's important. But they can draw very close to you and they can see, if you like, the etheric you. They can see what's troubling you, what's in your aura, what's in your energy field. They can see the thoughts that are going on in your mind. They know what's happening in your life because of that. All of that is contained within our aura, within our energy. And that's what they connect with. That's what they are aware of. That's what they see. And do they hear the thoughts when we speak about them? They're aware of the energy of that thought. To all intents and purposes, it's the same as hearing it. But they haven't got physical ears, remember. So it's like they're like using their etheric ears to hear it. So all of that I talk about in the in the video, Can Our Loved Ones See Us? So do check that one out on the channel if that interests you. Okay, next question. Can you briefly explain what you mean by the mechanics of mediumship? So the mechanics of mediumship is how mediumship works. So how does it work from spirit to us? How does it work with us to spirit? So what do we need to do to be a medium? We need to make a connection with spirit. We need to seek evidence. We need to receive evidence and give it to somebody. So it's the whole process of all of that and how it works. It's mediumship can be telepathy. Mediumship can be the receiving of, sending and receiving of thoughts, but mediumship can also be feeling into the energy of the spirit communicator as they blend with you. Just like you could psychically tune into somebody here, we can psychically blend with the energy of the communicator. So there are all these different mechanisms. So it's understanding these different mechanisms. That's what I really mean by the mechanics of mediumship. It's how should you connect to spirit? How do you connect to spirit? It's how do you receive information? How does it function through the different clairs? It's, what are the different types of evidence? How are they commonly received? And so on and so forth. How to structure the contact, how to deliver the contact. That is all the mechanics of mediumship. So there's a lot of it. It's quite complex. Hence, I can talk about it for hours and have done. Hence, when you look at my courses, the course on the fundamentals of mediumship, 9-10 hours. The course on getting better evidence, 9-10 hours. Pretty much all mechanics, really. So yeah, we can talk about it for hours, and I'd have many times. Interesting question, Sue. I like it. When our loved ones come through the medium, they show themselves in a physical form that we would recognize. Absolutely. They show themselves as you knew them, so you can recognize them. If they showed themselves as a multicolored light, or if they showed themselves as a wisp of smoke, it wouldn't work, would it? So we see spirit as they were when they're here. But does spirit stay in such forms in the spirit world, or are they just an energy or light? Now, in the spirit world, when we go to the spirit world, if we all of a sudden had to operate as energy or light, we'd have a heck of a job, wouldn't we? Because what we're used to a body. So absolutely, in the spirit world, we operate as a body. That's definite. Spirit, the life in spirit is a lot like life in this world, apart from the fact that it's not a physical world. It's a world that's of thought. It's a world of mental creation. But just as you go to bed and dream, and your dreams seem really real, and you're creating that body in your dream, and you're having experiences, that's the form you are in the spirit world. You're still that body. You're still you. You're still able to interact with people and have those experiences. It's the same. So the best description of the spirit world, of life in spirit, that I've ever come across was written by Maurice Barbanel. And it was written by Maurice Barbanel, and it's very heavily influenced as well by his guide, Silver Birch. Even though it was in a book written purely by Maurice Barbanel, I can see straight away that it's just such heavily influenced by the guide, Silver Birch, who I love. So it's been a long out of print book. And so I did put the article by him on my website. So if you go onto my website and you type in life in the spirit world into the search box, that article should appear. It's quite a long article, but it's absolutely beautiful. I posted it on Facebook a few times. Maybe I shall repost it on Facebook soon. If you're on my Facebook page, you can see it. And it is a profound article. And basically, the idea is that we wouldn't be able to function as some etheric light or just energy. We've learned to function for however long we've lived in this world as a body. That's our natural state of interaction. And that's how it is in the spirit world. But as we evolve over time, over eons, over many lifetimes, maybe that begins to change. And we get to choose how we show ourselves in the spirit world. We get to choose, if you like, the age we appear at. And think about it. If you met somebody who you knew when you were younger, if they appeared at the time you knew them, you'd recognize them. So it makes logical sense. So we can choose how we appear to different people at different times, if that makes sense. So, and the good news is we will physically meet our own loved ones in the spirit. We'll be able to physically hug and kiss them and touch them. And it will be real to us, even though we don't have this flesh and bone body. It will be real to us. Just like if you were to do it in your dreams, it would be real. It's the same thing. So the spirit world, if you like, it's not a dream world, but if you like, it's the consciousness of the creator has manifested the reality, I say physical reality, but it's not a physical world, the physical reality of the spirit world, such that you can think of people and you're with them. You can be in more than one place at once. We can do things we enjoyed upon the earth, we can do there. If you've got a passion here, you can continue your passion in the spirit world. If you have a passion here and you're no longer able to do it through injury or ill health, when you get to the spirit world, you can continue that on. That's important to recognize, isn't it? How wonderful is that? So I hope that that explains it to some degree. Your mum's been gone 44 years this year. She was 44 when she passed. For some reason, this year has brought back the grief as fresh as when it happens. Is this common after such a long time? It can happen for sure, yeah. Grief is a very profound thing. And, you know, we're all grieving. It's just that sometimes we're better able to manage that grief. And different people experience grief in different ways. But when you've shared love with somebody, when you've had that connection to them, it will always be a part of your soul. It will always be a part of who you truly are. Some people are able to manage loss better than others. Some people are almost immune to it. Others, it touches very, very, very deeply, profoundly, remains throughout their life. And certain things, certain situations, certain events can trigger it, absolutely. And sometimes there's no logical reason why it triggers it. So I just say, just go with it, accept it's happened. But again, you know, it's that connection of love is what you're feeling within the grief. Remember, it's the fact we love them so much, the fact they're an important part of our lives, the fact that they are so close to us, that, you know, that creates that. That's what I want to say. So yeah, it's not uncommon, absolutely. Sacred Voyages, thank you very much for your super chat donation. That is very much appreciated. Now, one question I forgot to answer that I had on my sheet, again, was about sitting in the power. And when you finish sitting in the power, the question was, do you call your energy back to you? Do you somehow pull your energy back in? You've expanded your energy, you've expanded out. When you're sitting, oh my God, I've left my energy out. I better bring it in. I better take my energy down and fold it all up and pack it away and put it in a bag. No. Basically, it's hard enough to expand our energy and keep it there when we're sitting in the power. The slightest thing that removes our tension, the whole thing collapses. So as soon as you revert back to your normal state, your energy is not expanded anymore. It's, you know, if you like blowing up a balloon, balloon gets bigger, bigger, bigger. As soon as you take the pressure off the end and forget about blowing the balloon up, it's gone. Balloon's collapsed. Same with your energy. When we sit and focus and build our energy, we can hold it and maintain it. As soon as something, our mind slips and we think about something else, balloon goes down. As soon as we decide that that's it, well, that's it, I'm going to return to a normal state, balloon goes down. You've not got to do a thing. Important to recognize that. You've not got to do a thing. So, Sue, thank you for your in-depth information. Yes, I will look that up. Wonderful. So, yeah, I will try to remember to put it on my Facebook page. But definitely it's on my website if you want to check it out. I'm just making a note for myself so I don't forget. Cool. So has anyone got any more questions you want to ask? Any more questions? In the meantime, somebody asked me, do I run a beginner's course? And the simple answer is I don't, to be honest. I offer, and that's the next question. If not, how can beginners learn from you? And the way you can learn from me is you can get that good, solid theoretical foundation through my products, through either my videos, my study program, or my courses. That's what I offer. You can get that solid foundation. I do some practical classes for people. I do the mentorship course, and I'm going to be offering a few more tutorial type courses on themes where we'll give some theory, then we'll do some exercises to put it into practice. But I don't teach beginners because it's a slow process. It's a long process. And I just don't find it's probably me. I probably don't have the patience for beginners. I used to take beginners circles at our church regularly. My wife took them over, and everyone appreciated her teaching way more than me. I was just too hard. I used to work everyone too hard and wear them all out. And the thing with me was I developed so rapidly at the beginning that I probably wasn't a beginner for very long. I was probably only a beginner for a couple of months, and then I was off. So I've not really spent a long time in that state. So I probably don't connect with the beginner mindset as strongly as other teachers or mediums. So when my wife took over my beginner's circle, everyone said that she was lovely because she was so caring and nurturing and didn't push them. But when I took the beginner circle, I would make them do a lot of exercises and we get through loads of work. And I probably wasn't so caring and nurturing. Not that I didn't want to be. It's just my approach to teaching people is quite logical, structured. And I think you should get as much benefit from your time as possible. So that's why it was that way. So yeah, beginners probably are better served with other mediums who like and enjoy teaching beginners. My preference is working with intermediates to advanced levels. My preference is really getting into the nitty gritty of it. And once people are able to link and link relatively well, I like to work with them more in that state. So I don't offer beginners courses, but I do offer plenty of courses, pre-recorded courses, theoretical courses, videos, study program that everybody can avail themselves of that will help them. Hopefully that makes sense. So Miss Silver, thanks. That makes sense. This was a hard year with a lot of family situations. Could have used Mum's advice. So makes sense. Yeah. And you know, when things come up in our lives where we would turn to somebody who's no longer here, that does bring the grief back. It does make it more profound. Absolutely. I see that. Yes. Laurie, thank you for your wisdom. Was having a bad week and this was very healing. And yeah, that's one thing with mediumship. It should be healing. It should, it should help us. That's the thing about it. Okay, Laurie, is a spiritualist church the best place to find a circle to join? It depends where in the world you are. It depends what you have available locally. It depends in many different ways. So if you want a physical circle where you're in person with people, then you need to find a group that's local to you, generally. Or you can go on courses, travel a bit further, go on courses, go on weekend courses, go on week courses, etc. That's possible if you want an in-person course as well. But if you want to sit regularly every week, every month, what have you, you need, if it's going to be in person, you need a local circle. In the UK, some churches run circles. In the UK, some mediums run circles in their own homes, privately. So there's a lot of home circles as well. But in different parts of the world, that's hard to find. And really now with since before COVID, but absolutely since COVID, where everybody has discovered the power of the internet to connect and communicate. There are a huge amount of online circles now, typically taking place in Zoom. Zoom was a hugely phenomenal thing. When I first started doing a lot of my classes online, Zoom didn't exist, and I used a really clunky tool called Adobe Connect, which it was very powerful but quite clunky. Zoom came out, it's like a game changer. It's just so wonderful. So Zoom now enables a lot of people to connect relatively easily. Similarly, Microsoft Teams, etc. There's a lot of stuff now that we would have loved to have. When I first started teaching online in 2009, it was done through audio, not even a video feed. In fact, no, tell a lie. At first, it was done through typing. Oh my God, that is hard. Everyone having to type. So yeah, when we got audio, that was like heaven. And then when we got video, that was even better. So with all of that now, you can do online circles that are as good as in-person circles. So there's many, many, many online circles, very, very many online courses. Too many to, if you can look for experienced mediums, anyone who's worked at the Art of Infinity College is generally a recommended medium. Places like the Journey Within as well, the Journey Within church in the US, that's a good place as well for courses. But there's loads of courses with loads of mediums. I don't like to name mediums because if someone will say, well, why did you name them and not somebody else? And it's like, no, don't go there. But there are numerous mediums to go check out online. So find what works for you. You need a time that's going to work for you. You need it to work for you with your setup. So yeah, find what's going to work for you and suck and see. Sometimes you join a circle, it's not the right one. Sometimes you move on. I temporarily was in many in-person circles. And as soon as I realized this is not for me, this is not helping me, I let it go, move on. Or sometimes different people come in, the energy changes. Some people bring a certain energy with them and you may move on. So yeah, I get it. You know, finding the right circle is not always an easy thing to do. I get that. I see that. Yeah. So sadly, I don't do online circles. But there are many people who do. As I say, I'm going to be introducing more online teaching, but it's going to be more in the form of themed workshops, themed courses, maybe over 4 sessions on a certain theme, certain topic. That's the kind of thing that I'm pretty good at teaching with. Give you some theory, and then we'll go and do exercises that help put it into practice. That's what I'm good at. Circles, it takes a lot of commitment and time, which I don't always have. Okay, next question. Sue, I understand we have different guides that work with us for, say, healing or mediumship. If we're not doing any spiritual work, do they go and help others in the meantime? Do they sit there drumming their fingers on the table and say, oh, God, they're not doing any of it. I'm wasted. My time here is wasted. I've been assigned to them. I'm stuck with them. No, not at all. They're busy people. They may be helping multiple different mediums, but they have plenty of things to do. Just like you in this world have plenty of things to do that occupy your time. They in the spirit world have plenty of things to do to occupy their time. If there's not a need for them to work with you, they won't. But when that time arises, they'll be there. And guides change, remember. Depending on where we're at, the guide may change. You would never have the same teacher through kindergarten, through your junior school, to your senior school, to your college years. No, as you progress and move, different teachers, different guides can come forward to help you at different times. So rest assured, they're not drumming their fingers, tearing their hair out because, I got assigned to this person and they're not developed and I'm wasting my time. No, not at all. Absolutely not at all. Ms. Silver, is there always a message in mediumship, or is the reading itself the message? Sometimes readers seem to fabricate a message, if that makes sense. With mediumship, there should be a message. In the days of old, when Gordon Higginson and many other of the great mediums worked, there was no message. The fact your loved one was there was the message. But mediumship has evolved. Sitters and audience expectations have evolved, and people now expect a message. But sometimes the message doesn't have to be a profound message. Sometimes the message is, I'm just so happy to connect. I'm so grateful I've had the opportunity to connect with you. But if you've got loads of stuff going on in your life, you're so stressed, you've been praying to spirit, you've been sending thoughts to your loved ones, and they come through a medium, and there is no message, you'll be gutted. So for me, there should always be a message, but the medium has to be open to receiving the message. Not all mediums are capable of receiving all messages, just like they're not all capable of receiving all different types of evidence. And so I'm trying to think, I would always have messages within my mediumship, always, at least a message. Even, it's hard. Sometimes there's many messages. Sometimes if it's a sitting, there'll be lots of areas spirit want to give advice or talk about. They know about what's going on, or they know that this person's not well and there's been healing thoughts sent. They know that this is happening within the family, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful. But if a medium is not capable of getting a message, yeah, some of them try and force it. We should never really try and force it. What happens is as well, we link with the spirit world. We have a mediumistic link. We link with the sitter. We have a psychic link. Often I can feel what's going on within the life of the sitter psychically. And I also have a connection with spirit. And whenever I'm working, opening to what the message is and why a spirit here, I get a lot psychically. I hold the psychic off. I don't want psychic, arm's length, until I open to the energy of the sitter and what's happening in their lives. And then I'm happy to work with both, because both together will help me give a much better message than trying to stay purely with spirit. There's something going on in your life spirit's given me, but actually it's all there in your energy. I can feel what it is. I know what it is from the psychic. So rather than me saying there's something that's bothering you from the spirit, show me something's bothering you, they want to help you with it. They're trying to give me something about this. I'm not quite sure how it fits. No. Okay, there's this information. There's an issue with you. It's a work problem. I can feel it in your energy. And they're telling you to trust your instinct. Your instinct is right. You know what to do instinctually, but you want to stay on trying to make the work for these reasons. That's all within your energy, psychic. The bit coming from spirit is they're saying, trust your instinct. You've thought about it. You know what's going on. So it's a mishmash of the mediumistic and the psychic. So if you try and work as a medium, purely keeping the psychic at bay and work with spirit, it can be a lot harder to get the message. So for me, it's acceptable to work psychically during the message. And that's how we help people the most. My intent when I'm working with somebody in a sitting is how can I help the sitter? When I'm working doing an evidential demonstration in a church centre, etc., then really we're working for spirit to bring through what we wish to bring through. And yeah, we will get a little bit psychically from the person, but I don't want to get into that. And I would never get into people's issues in depth in the public domain anyway, because we've got the confidentiality. We've got to have that respect. So I hope that all makes sense. But I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. Sue, is our gatekeeper with us 24/7, or do they have their own life or help others? So, do I believe I've got a gatekeeper now standing on duty, getting rid of marauding spirits that are trying to attack Martin at this moment? No, not at all. Not at all. So, do I ever talk about gatekeeper in my teaching? Not particularly. I believe we have a team of spirit helpers, and we are naturally protected, provided we work with the right intent. We are naturally protected. And if there was a problem, our team would help sort it out for us anyway. Provided we work with the right intent is the key. Sometimes spirit won't save you from yourself if you decide to do something stupid. If you decide, oh no, let's have a seance, let's get a Ouija board out, let's get hideously drunk with all my friends and have a bit of fun. You guys will say, okay, that's the intent you've brought to it. We'll have a bit of fun. Spirits may be drawn to you who want to have a bit of fun with you as well, who might want to scare the bejesus out of you. And your guides won't stop it, because the intent you've brought is the intent that is created within the energy. So if we come to it from the point of view of it's a sacred thing, from a point of view of we want to do it to help people, that's the energy you've created. That's the intent. Your guides will not stop you learning lessons. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So I don't think it's logical to think of a gatekeeper on guard, the bouncer on the door, because I don't believe we do have a bouncer on the door personally. I believe the team protects us, but it's not a 24/7 thing. And I believe we're all naturally protected, provided we're working for the right reasons in the right way. So yes, they will have their own life, and they will be helping others, and there will be, and I think that duty will be shared. You know, people say, oh, call in your doorkeeper. That's like, I ain't got a doorkeeper. In all the trance work I've done, no spirit has ever come forward and said, I am your doorkeeper. I am the strong one. I keep everyone at bay. No, there's no need. It's not happened. It's more subtle than that. The whole thing is, and it's more complex than that. Sometimes within spiritualism and within mediumship, we try and simplify things into simple ideas, you know, and it's the reality is more complex than that. Certainly with guides, the reality is a lot more complex than some people try and make it. You know, it's like we can dumb it down, but ultimately, you know, the idea of the guardian angel as well is another tricky one, because I don't have a guardian angel. I have a bunch of guides and helpers who work with me. Yes, they can perform roles of helping. They can guide us. They can support us. They can protect us. But it's not their only roles. And it's a shared role as well. So the more we look specifically at well-known mediums and their guides, we don't really see the doorkeeper. Very few of them have ever said, that one's my doorkeeper. The doorkeeper very rarely comes through. But they have protection, absolutely. So I've kind of gone off topic, haven't I? I've gone on a tangent for you on that one. But yeah, so again, if you want to know a lot more about guides and helpers, I do have a course, Understanding Guides and Helpers, 4 sessions, and it does include 3 meditations to meet your guides, and also an exercise where we inspirational exercise to get to know your guides and helpers as well. So I do go into that kind of depth all in that course on guides and helpers. So do we have any more questions? So next question. I was confused by a teacher. She said I gave a message which was psychic, confused me and caused doubt. A sitter knew she needed that message, and I messed up my readings for a while. So there's not a problem with, the thing is, for you as a medium, it's useful for you to know how you're working. It's useful for you to know when it's coming from spirit, and it's useful for you to know when you're working psychically. I have a video on this on my channel. It's called Is It Psychic or Is It From Spirit? And in a nutshell, basically it's where we place our focus. If I'm just focusing purely on communication from spirit, it's going to be mainly mediumship. If I'm getting involved in the energy of the sitter, or I'm getting involved in the energy of the recipient in an audience, I can be taken into their energy and receive things psychically. It's beneficial for me to know what's psychically, so that I'm not putting words in the mouth of spirit. If I say, oh, your loved one's telling you this, but I'm receiving it psychically, that there's... Okay, let's take an example in a sitting. Example in a sitting, someone comes to see you in a sitting because they're worried their partner is having an affair. You're working with spirit, but you're connecting with their energy. You connect with their energy and you pick up, let's worry about an affair. Spirit are telling me that this is worry around you about an affair. Someone's having an affair. So different meanings will phrase in different ways. Someone might say there's worry within you about your partner having an affair. Other people will say affair. There's an affair around you. Your partner is having an affair, when they're not, because it's the energetic, psychic energy within them of their concern that you can pick up upon. So you don't want to place that in the mouth of spirit, because spirit, if you told someone your loved one is telling you your partner's having an affair and they're not, first of all, there'll be an almighty fallout in the relationship. Secondly, the person in the spirit will be very angry that you placed those words in their mouth and they never said it. And also what's happened is you didn't work particularly well psychically to pick it up. So you can see there's a lot of issues and risks associated with that can go on. So we, as mediums, we need to understand where we're connecting and getting the information from as best we can. Now, sometimes in the early days, we can't work it out. It's not so obvious. But within the video, I talk about how it's important that over time, mediums can feel where the information is from. It's from you. And we're careful how we present it, so as we don't create harm. We have that responsibility. We have that tact filter we have to apply so as not to create challenges or harm for anybody. It's important. So in this scenario here, it doesn't matter that your message is psychic. And, if the sitter really needed that message, that's not a problem neither. But provided you're saying, I'm getting this psychically from you, but I feel spirit are supporting it, it doesn't matter. Provided you're clear about where it's coming from. I hope that helps. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say there. But don't allow it to mess you up. Yes, and sometimes we get told off, and sometimes it does affect us. Sometimes teachers tell us you're not doing it right, and it's like, oh my God. But hang on, there's many different ways of doing it. That's the other thing to bear in mind. I try and teach a multitude of approaches because everyone's different. Some teachers just teach that there's only one way, which is their way. People who work like them, people who think like them, people who have a mind that functions like theirs work well with that. A lot of other people who don't work that way, who are different, can't work that way and don't find that teacher very helpful. A more experienced teacher recognizes that there are a multitude of different ways in which we work with spirit, and they allow the student to work their own way within a framework, within a greater framework. That's important. Yeah, have a check out of the video and hopefully that will help you. But don't worry, sometimes even experienced sometimes the information flows so quickly from all sources, it can be hard to work it out. It can be hard to separate it out. But if we're unsure, just be careful not to place words into the mouth of spirit if we're unsure about it. That's the key. You know, it's just we have to think about the responsibilities of mediumship. And it's of all my videos I've ever produced over the years, the ethics and responsibilities of mediumship is the least purchased, the least watched, but possibly the most important. Because when I look at how many mediums create harm, the more you understand about the ethics and the responsibilities, the better a medium you'll be. I do have a video at number 9, ethics and responsibilities of mediumship. As I say, it's probably the least seller, but it's a good video. I do have interviews on my channel as well. Ethics and responsibilities of mediumship, that worth checking out. Absolutely. And whenever I do a course on a platform or private readings, I will bring it in because it's so vitally important. First, do no harm. As a medium, you should not be creating harm. You should not be upsetting people. You should not be causing chaos in your wake. You should not be predicting death. You should not be telling people they're going to get cancer. You should not tell somebody with cancer they're going to die. All of which I've seen mediums do, which is absolutely chaotic and should not happen. Yeah, absolutely. She thought there was one way, her way. Absolutely. I see this a lot, especially with more local circles or teachers who've not really experienced a lot of different teaching styles. You know, many of you will know that I trained at the Arthur Findlay College. I went through their tutor training scheme. I'm an approved tutor of the college. I went to many, many different tutors when I was at the college. And I came across many, many different approaches. And some of them are the same and some of them are different, but they all work equally well. And what I'm saying is, as well as my college courses, I've done so many different courses, weekends, classes with different mediums. Too many to name. Probably 40 different mediums, maybe more. So the point being is that I've experienced a lot of people's different styles. I understand that as a student, receiving different styles. So when I teach, I just don't teach. It's this way or the highway. Yeah, we've got to accept there's different ways. Like some people will go on to work as a spirit artist. Some people will go on to work brilliantly with the inspirational work. Others may become a trance medium. Not everybody's going to be in evidential mediumship in this mold, working in this way, working with this mindset. And even within evidential mediumship, there are numerous different styles and types. I take you back to my very first question about, you know, do you have to be intelligent or knowledgeable to be a medium? The answer is no. And the spirit world needs people of all varieties, of all different backgrounds. And it's the same when we work. We all work with a different style, a different approach, a different energy, and we connect in different ways. And that's important as well. Absolutely. First, do no harm. Mavis taught you that. Many people have taught that over the years. It goes way, way, way back, but we do well to remember it. So Kim, your question, when mediums do spirit drawings, are they drawing what they see clairvoyantly or is it a channel drawing? It can be either. So when I see a spirit artist work, I always like to ask them, how do they work? Some say, I see it within my mind and I just draw literally what I see. That's pretty rare. In my experience, most of them are inspired to draw. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't even know is it male or female until they get to a certain point. And then they think it's male and it turns into a female. And what's happened in spirit are inspiring them to draw it. And in the most profound cases, they have no control over what their hand's doing effectively. They're just letting spirit come so close, blend so close, and draw the spirit communicator. I've seen some amazing art by medium Lynn Cottrell, who was an Arthur Findlay College tutor. I've seen her go into trance with pens in different hands and draw different faces, one either side in trance. Amazing, amazing. Absolutely spirit channeled, spirit inspired drawing. So, and sometimes it can work that they kind of have an idea of what they're drawing, or they're trying to draw something, and then their hand is doing something different. So it can, if you like, move in between the styles a little bit as well. So different artists work in different ways. And there is no right, there is no wrong. Again, each one has their own style, and each one is absolutely fine. Some spirit artists have no artistic ability whatsoever. If you ask them to draw a face, they couldn't even draw a face. They wouldn't know how. But when they're inspired and overshadowed by spirit and it comes out, it's quality, it's amazing. But they can't, in their normal state, they can't replicate it at all. So I know somebody who's a spirit artist who has no artistic ability whatsoever, and it's hilarious because her spirit art is just beautiful, amazing. The portraits are fabulous. But she's like, I couldn't draw a face to save my life if spirit weren't doing it. And I love that. I think that's brilliant. Okay, so thank you for sharing your expertise today. So I'm going to give you a quick last call for more questions. If there's no more questions, I'm going to wrap it up. So I do hope that you've enjoyed this. If you've stayed with me the whole time, I really hope you enjoyed it. If you've been dipping in, dipping out, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you're watching this on the replay, I hope you've got lots from it. And remember, if you haven't enjoyed it, hit the like button. Do subscribe to the channel. If you want to thank me, you can use the super chat and buy me a coffee, or you can use the super thanks if you're watching on the replay. There's also a PayPal me link in the description and pinned at the top as well. But I do this as a service to help people. I do this to make myself accessible and to try and share, as I say, practical down-to-earth teachings on mediumship without the fluff. So in the absence of any more questions, I'm going to bring the stream to an end. So thank you to everyone who's been a part of it. And I shall look forward to seeing you all again in the next one. Bye for now.